Well, obviously, people in the 90s were happier than young people today because we had Denise Richards. Women were thinner, so were the men, and people had sex and they drank. Good night, everybody. We have a request from our Ashkenazi Jewish agent in the field. Thankfully, this is not some deep philosophical. Usually, when Arcady sends me a request, it's compelling. His requests are compelling and intellectual thought. Like, I'm curious to find the answer myself, but it requires me to sit down and think and actually work. If you can imagine, he's requiring me to work, me working, like actually doing something. Don't you people know you're just supposed to send me softball requests and then I get the super chats and then I go and hike out? You know who I am. Anyway, so Arcadie's got an easy one for him. Dear Aaron, our Ashkenazi Jewish agent is back with another video request. Please provide a price. Who had a better or at least more interesting life? San Francisco and other cities of the late 90s, early 2000s, the single people of ages 22 to 50 had two full-time jobs. One is their actual job, and then the second one is coming home, changing, going out almost every night to drink. I remember those days. Socialize, meet, or hope to meet people. People watch, listen to music, dance 5 to 6 days a week. I remember those times. And drink some more. You forgot, got laid occasionally. I do mean occasionally. All right. The 90s were not some utopian, idyllic, halcyon days of yore. It was still challenge. The girls were nowhere near 1950s gals. You never went out and I did. You're right, I wasn't, but I did date those girls. So it wasn't all unicorns and puppies. There was some challenge there as well, but it is a hell of a lot better than what you got now. But you even mentioned getting laid. I got laid quite a lot, actually. People tried to dress to impress because this was the only way to impress without social media. Being hungover was a rule, and going to a gym was more of an aspiration than reality for most. San Francisco of 2024, 2025. Many young people, especially women, report going to bed as early as 9 p.m. Hardly anyone drinks. Whenever they go out, they usually wear scrub-type outfits. Working from home doesn't exactly encourage dressing up. My local gym is half full as early as 5:30 a.m. Arguably, this is healthier, but can we say who objectively had a better or more interesting life? All right. You have a little bit of selection bias with the gym. Okay. The gym, you're there. Did you go to the gym in the 90s? Was it as crowded at 5:30 a.m.? I know there's this gym bro culture that's come up. I think that's largely just the internet covering people who go to the gym. And if we look at obesity rates and how men and women, younger men and women today look, yeah, there's some who go to the gym, right? I go to the gym and yeah, I'm squarely middle-aged. There's older people and younger people. But I don't see a ton of young millennial Zoomer types going to the gym. I think just as few, if not fewer people go to the gym. So I would not say they're healthier, at least in terms of working out. Drinking and drugs, probably yes. Probably they are healthier today because they're not drinking as much. Although one might say, did the drugs just move to legal prescriptive drugs, not recreational drugs, which they use recreationally? So even then, the one thing you got is that they're more healthy, not drinking as much booze. That's the one thing you got. Can we say who objectively had a better or more interesting life? And I'll say, okay, that's good that you don't drink booze. Without a doubt, the younger people of yesteryear, whether it's the 90s, the 80s, any the aughts, the 90s, the 80s, anything before now, younger people had better lives. And I know this is going to really hurt you young people because you were told the complete opposite. Because people were fucking more. Do you remember? Arcady, you're about my age. Well, maybe you're a little younger. I remember it was just a given. You had to get girls a drink in order for them to give you a phone number, loosen up, have sex, have a good time. A lot of you guys had to drink to loosen up a little bit, right? And it was fun. It was fun. There wasn't this, did you misgender me bullshit? In other words, the Democrat religion of socialism and identity politics and tradeism has not become, it was not the religion that it is of young people today. I would say the sex war was still going on, but men and women, at least internally, still liked each other, or a significant percentage of the population did. And so we did get together. It took a lot of tooth clawing and tooth pulling. Very stubborn, a lot of, but I remember going to some great parties, man. I remember going to Guar. I remember going to, what was the name of it? Just this mosh pit industrial, Ground Zero. Even if the girls were, you weren't going out for dates or anything, it was still a good time. I remember the swing dance craze. People were wearing suits and dresses. You go to a jazz club. It was great. You know why it was great? Because men and women were interested in each other more than they are now. I'm not saying it was like the 50s, but they were more interested in each other than they are now. And I am old enough to remember that when you'd have a new semester start at the college, some girls would dress up in a skirt, or not a full dress, but a nice dress, simple dress. They would dress cute. We didn't have anywhere in the net tattoos. People were not as fat, and there was not the outright hatred that I hate to say it, young women generally have to men, or an agitation or adversarialness or instigation or discuss or whatever you want to say. It wasn't it wasn't as clear. Now, I'm sure a lot of women didn't want guys to ask them out, but it was not as out in the open. And of course, we didn't have necessarily the internet. Well, I guess you had it in 1990s and 2000, but not the social media where you see the worst representatives. Like here, you got TikTok girls. Oh my god, yeah, they were feminists on campus, and they had their flyers, and every man behind a bush is ready to jump out and have your way with you and raising you. You had those hate-filled people. But yeah, if you went to a nightclub, you go to a bar, there was a chance that you'd go home with the girl. And then you'd have sex. Oh my God. I would, every young person says this. I want to say that the music was better. That's subjective. But I can tell you this, there was more music, there were more venues. Dude, when I went to Guar, it was fun. The music is not great, but it was great time being there. Dancing to KMFDM, Revolting Cocks, Ministry. On the mosh pit. Oh, it was great. Yeah, house parties. Yeah, that was, I didn't excel there too well. But they were still fun, getting drunk, walking home. I never really got into bar culture. I couldn't afford to drink while I was in school. I did have the occasional, but I didn't drink until I was 21. I didn't even drink on my 21st birthday. The bars were closed because Minnesota, yeah. I couldn't, but if I was going to go somewhere, no, I'm going to like a nightclub, like a good, not the boom chicka boom type, like an industrial, dark. You're going to get beer spilled on you, cigarettes. They were smoking cigarettes back in the day. Go to some rockabilly band. Yeah. And then salsa. And then I guess on the complete other end, I would go to like a jazz club being dressed up in a suit and looking fancy. But usually it's because people want to go out and have fun. Usually there was a reason to go have fun, and I hate to say it, the reason bar culture or night culture or music or anything exists is because women are there and men wanna get laid. That's the basic business model of any nightclub or any bar. It still applies today, but men are just not interested and women are not that attractive, and women don't wanna necessarily go to the I mean, sure, in Vegas, but that's Vegas. I think more communally speaking, like your local major metro, there's nowhere near the bars or the nightclubs. Largely because you've been telling, "Oh, you want sex, and that's bad, and you're just a patriot, you're" I mean, they really turned it up. They really turned it up. And then, I don't know, have you looked at young people today? Not at the gym. Go regular, normal young people. Go out there and look. Th I'm sorry, the world is built on testosterone. It's what it is. I don't see anything that makes me wanna go and invade the Persians. I don't see anything "Oh, let me I'll go to war for that." Right, yeah, I got my girlfriend, but I'm not dead, I'm not blind. I look around, I'm like, "Hey, what in God's name?" You know, they are, "Oh, you gotta step out on your girl, you gotta get a mistress on the side." With what? What? What am I got what, are you kidding me? Are you joking? Yeah, what's the motivation to go? Look, it wasn't it somebody, not me, said everything is about sex except sex, that's about power? It wasn't me. It was an American philosopher, author, I forget who. Someone in the chat room who's more educated than me will know. Uh, Look, I'm sorry to simplify things so much. Yeah, but the reason your economy is slowing down, the reason nightclubs are, the reason people aren't going out and is having much fun is because there's less sex being had and there's less sex in demand. Girls, you could debate that their desire for sex has been the stable or the same, but men, like, yeah, okay, their demand is the same too, except for a couple other factors. One, their testosterone is lower, so actually their demand has gone down. You got a substitute for Nebraska, where they grow corn. The women are not attractive. Like, no guy is motivated to ask out a girl. There's not a lot of venues. You have the PR nightmare that you've scared away a lot of men. Uh, from asking a girl out. I think of the reaction of men is a little an overreaction, but what if she says no? Like, "Oh, quit being a fucking pussy." But then you look at whatever these girls do, they put you on the social media or like, okay, I guess that's not right. But then you look at the general attitude. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's instances of what happened. The Aziz Ansari, the comedian, sure, that scares men away, but it's the general attitude that they see, and you could say, "Well, that's the internet, it's not real." Yeah, but no one's countering it in the real world. Women are not welcoming, let's put it that way, so men don't have any incentive to go. The handful of times guys ask out girls, at least 80% of the time, you're shot down, or she says yes, but it doesn't end up in a date. That hasn't changed, and that's kinda normal. You get shut down 80% of the time, you're gonna start to believe the horrible shit you see on the internet actually is the real world, and you're just not motivated. It it's playing out digitally on online dating. We could say the same thing. Did people in whenever online dating came out, 2010, let's just say roughly, did they have a better time than you do now? Right. You know why? Because back then they had dates. Now you don't have dates with online dating. It's anything but. It's bots. It's bullshit. It's come to my super chat channel or whatever. And when you remove the sexes from one another and I guess you could say the rituals or the courtship rituals of, I mean, we're not doing a stupid dance or anything. Oh, I guess we did do some stupid dances, but you're going out to meet people, get drunk. Um, Even with the hangovers, you're asking a more interesting, rewarding life. Absolutely. I would even also say that although it was largely based on a false hope, we were hopeful, and that gave us hope for the future. Matter of fact, we were confident in the future. Little did we know it was going to be a rug pull, but under that assumption, albeit erroneous, We're like, man, I can't wait. I'm going to be out of college and we're going to go dancing and we have finally have fun and da da da. Now the internet's like, oh yeah. The millennials especially come in and they're reporting to the Zoomers and you're like, dude, these fucking corpos lied to us. And this Gen X is like, yeah, we know. And the Zoomers and the millennials like, okay, then why try? Right? Why try at life if there's not gonna be any fun, it's just gonna be penury and lies and deceit. And I'm sorry, there is no motivation. Girls do not inspire men to war, let alone GDP production right now. And so, yeah, without each other, they're not gonna have as good of a life, or an interesting of times, or good feelings, even if it was based on false hope. Um, I think other things outside of the sexes abandoning each other, there's not the institutions to go have fun. The cultural creations of society suck. Really, what music is out there? Is there any music that's really dude, listen to Revolting Cock's rendition of "Do You Think I'm Sexy" by Rod Stewart. Show me anything that got anything close to that right now. There's no venues by which to go out. Meetup groups freaking suck. Oh my god. And there's no like in my day, take the girl to a movie and dinner. I know it was basic, but that's more than what most guys are doing for you now, right, ladies? Oh, you had it so good back then, didn't you? Uh, but you could. Oh yeah, there's this movie. I mean, Starship Troopers. That's where Denise Richards is in that. Oh yeah, and Denise Richards. Hello. Before she went on OnlyFans at 50 years old, whatever the hell she was. How old is she? She's got to be older than me. Um, there'd be cultural, like a movie, like let's go to the movie or let's see this concert. What movie is out that anyone wants to see? I don't who. And here's another thing. What experiences do young people have that form them into interesting people to other fellow young people? Right? Now, everyone young doesn't have that much life experience, but you must have some. My experience was working security. All right. Wasn't for a 40-year-old, that's not a okay, you work security. But yeah, we saw she was passed out naked stripper in the snowbank. Her footprints led back to the frat houses. That's how we figured out where she came from. Good thing it snowed that night and stopped snowing when she walked out. People jumping off the bridge to end it. Just just different interesting things happening. Yeah, and even though it sucked, like okay, yeah, and I'm starving and I had to budget my money and I had to do this and you sit and you think philosophically these events form you and forge you into an interest. So even though you're young, you might have a little bit of personality and character. You might have some thoughts. Now what? What y'all get school lunches for free? You're just told to say the exact same thing. You all hold the same politics. What's interesting about that? You listen to the same damn music. One could argue there was the cult of popularity back in the day. Well, I don't even do you even have a counterculture? I guess the counterculture is what, being a Republican and wanting a nuclear family. I guess that's the biggest counterculture. But I mean, culturally speaking, is there a counterculture of music, underground music? Um, is there is there any way to be different, or are you all the exact same? And the biggest strike of defiance to make an interesting character is you're just not a Democrat. I mean, yeah, that's good in my opinion, but I don't know. Okay, so you're Republican. How is that really exciting? Well, you don't get it, man. I don't have tattoos. Whoa! Check out the girl who has a notch count below 10 and doesn't have any tattoos. Whoa! I mean, that's impressive by today's standards, but not really something interesting or philosophical. I can't blame him. Could you imagine a zillennial house party? Oh my God. Can I get you a drink? No, because then you're going to do something to, oh God, you're right. If we can't do that. I remember it was, you know what? And women liked it back then. Oh my God. I remember I take you like, want a martini? What do you want? And I get her this, this was when Cappy was lower middle income. I could afford a drink. Like, get a girl a drink, take her to a jazz club. Oh my God, she got a little tipsy. She enjoyed the conversation, and then she come home with you. Not all the time, of course, minority of time, to be perfectly honest. Oh my God. And then she'd wake up, and then, God, what the heck did we do? She usually just, yeah, they usually just gather things and go home. That's what they did. That's why I don't remember doing, like, we never got breakfast afterwards or anything. No, it was you had stuff to do. The opposite sex was interested in you, added the fuel to the fire. And then you got to enjoy what the culture was offering. And now what? Who's the music people now? Uh is Lizzo the music person? Oh, Taylor Swift. Yeah, let's go mosh to that. I what do you are there any there's no movies. I guess it is coffee, right? Which is not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I guess you know what? In a certain sense, maybe they matured, but ain't nowhere as fun, and it's nowhere good as living a life. I mean, even if it does involve hangovers and all that, some of the best times I had, the mornings were horrible after. At least you got those nights. No, it doesn't even compare. It doesn't come close. You don't the opposite sexes do not have each other. I'm not gonna say which opposite sex started that shit. There's nothing to celebrate in culture. The media or social media and actual regular media tell you, everyone is a fascist now. Everyone has the religion, especially young people. You all have the same religion that you must obey the merciful and socialist God, and families are bad, and they just destroyed the culture. I mean, even the left. I know Ryan Stone picks on me. That's the goddamn Democrats. It is the Democrats. The Republicans didn't ruin Star Wars. I remember I was dating a horrible, despicable person when the first of the prequels came out. Prequels. Yes, the prequels. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. We went to that. Now, what you know, they weren't as good as the original trilogy, but we're excited. Like, oh, we gotta go. It was an event. It was an event. What events do you got? Like, what exciting things do you have to celebrate and enjoy and experience now? Really, what? It's yeah, I'm sympathetic with him. There's nothing you can really enjoy. And that's why I can see where they're all becoming very insular, and like then you have a lot of people that maybe go to the gym or focus on their career or go and travel or whatever. But no, it's sad. It's sad because even though I hated, I mean, I didn't have, okay, the 90s were one of the worst decades of my life. Um, but I still had some fun, if you know what I'm saying. Like it was poor, hungry, but I still managed to have some fun because the people around me were fun and colorful characters. Now, I couldn't imagine what would you do? Let's say the most happening Zoomer party right now in the United States, right? What is it? Oh, it's like what, a Tuesday or a Wednesday or so. Okay, just imagine the biggest Zoomer party to happen this weekend. What is it? Is anyone getting laid? It's not all about the sex. Yes, it fucking is. Or like 80%. Is anyone listening to really good music? Are people having good conversations? Are you building camaraderie with each other? No. No. And you talk about major metros. Oh, fuck. You can't afford it. There's number one, San Francisco, young people. Then you want to talk about San Francisco, not all major metros, but a lot of them. What, Democrats shit and crime? And if you're in a major metro, oh, not every Zoomer is a Marx dick sucking socialist. But you damn well better be if you're in one of those major metros. That was the fucking shit in Minneapolis. Like if you were outed as a Republican or libertarian, that was you weren't invited to the next party. So some of that did exist back then, but not to this extent. Not to this extent. What they might, I don't know, like usually just we're not invited to the next party. Nowadays they'll swat you or they'll dox you or something. Girls literally say that on the dating, but in a major metro, where they don't prosecute crime, but man, now, especially with academia, like a bunch of college educated people, where you're all thought to be victims, dude. And one of the crimes is you raising me, or you specifically type of assaulted me, or you specifically type of harass me. And forget whether you get arrested or not, though that's a big enough deterrent, but socially you're ostracized? No. I don't know what Zoomer young boys known as, like, oh, hey, Peggy Sue, can you? And they're like already weakened and they don't have as much testosterone. So they're not gonna ask. I think they're definitely scared. No, it's over. It's have fun. Your Democrat socialist utopia you asked for, madams and sirs. I hope you're having a good time. Oh, hey, rent went up because we printed off free money for free gimme dats. Enjoy your inflation, but make sure to orange man pad. That's the cause of all your problems. Yeah, it doesn't. Let me make sure I read the many young people, especially women, report going to bed as early as 9 p.m. Hardly anyone drinks. Whenever they go out, they usually wear scrubbed. Let me ask you something, Arcady. Do you think they're going to turn like 35, 40? I guess the millennials didn't do this, but do you think the Zoomers and the Alpha, that when they turn, say, 40, they're going to have like a legit, maybe midlife crisis has a negative connotation. They're saying, man, we didn't party. Why didn't we party? And they like break out finally in their 40s. Whenever they go out, they usually wear scrub type outfits. Working from home doesn't exactly encourage dressing up. My local gym is half full as early as that. Arguably is healthier. Can we say who objectively had a better, more interesting life? Yeah, we can say objectively it was the people who got drunk, got laid. I would argue worked out just as much. Got shot down, got pissed drunk, got hung over, had to walk back. Even those horrible times still built up character. And now you got these test tube babies that are like, oh, in their little bubble, and it's so boring. So boring. Yeah, it doesn't even come close. The 90s were definitely more interesting. I couldn't imagine. Okay, I don't know. You're in a major? Do you even go out? I mean, where do you go out? I got my cigar bars. I go play my poker. I go to different restaurants because the GFA in here, so I go to different restaurants to like get okay food. But I'm not really looking to socialize. And when you get there, like there's a place called Texas Roadhouse. They got it in Rapid City, and they got these great hot, warm, chewy buns with maple butter. Oh, like, but that's the most exciting. I don't meet interesting people. Everyone's kind of eating. Usually, like you sit down at the bar because you get faster service at the bar. Like, is this where all the cool kids hang out? And they'll say, yeah. But no one's particularly interesting. Certainly, my generation isn't all there. I mean, yeah, there might be a Gen Xer sitting by me, but it's usually someone older, someone younger. I'm like, hey, how's that there Social Security there, Herman? And then you look off to your left, like, hey, Tanner, how's them student loans treating you there, buddy? Yeah, I got nothing else in common with you guys. All right. You ever hear of Guar? It's a great band. Never mind. So there you go. I don't know what I got linked below. I think I got linked below how not to become a millennial. Then my other book, Zero World Problems, which actually does touch on this. Like, look, if you're a young person and you're just bored with life, go get that book. You can be an older person and bored with life. If you don't know what to do in life, go get that book. And it goes through all the non-financial things you can achieve to drastically improve your standard of living. This is the first book I've written in a while that has like a significant amount of new stuff. I had to cover some old similar ground, but there's like new stuff, new thought being introduced. And one of the things is a higher standard of living can be achieved by having sex with good-looking people. Now, I know for all you under 30 somethings, that's a sin. Right? I know that's bad, but hear me out. It actually costs you less money because you don't have to eat as much. You lose the weight, you work out, you run, You get in good shape, and then you go have the sex. Okay, now, ladies, this is going to be a hard one on your part, but you see, it doesn't actually cost you anything if you have birth control and no one has STDs. With those two provisions, it's a fun, costless activity. And maybe people might be happy at just me, just me. It's like, hey, do you want some free chocolate ice cream? No, God, let's make this very complicated. All right, never mind. But that's one of the things. Investing in other humans, of course, will increase to a higher standard of living. But it's just one of the many new recommendations I have see, it doesn't cost any money. Well, okay. It shouldn't cost any money, but it usually does. It takes a lot of time and money. There really is a price. But in theory, if we wish to be philosophers and say, hey, this thing is free if we want it to be, and it can be fun. Never mind. So I recommended it. You're right. We'll all die out. Let's all die out and nobody have fun. Nobody get laid. Nobody be Rodney Dangerfield and Caddyshack. Hey, everybody, we're all going to get laid. And you know what they did in 1982 when he said that? They said, yay! Everybody was happy they were going to get laid. If Rodney Dangerfield did that, hey, everybody, we're all getting laid, there'd be boos and hiss and lawsuits. It's like, get over it. Jesus. Zero world problems. Genius ideas that are free and drastically increase your standard of living without money or finance. In theory. In theory. Let's go to the super chats. Hey, now look at all the people here. Bun for bun, 5 British pounds. I remember having a great sense of happiness during the 90s and aughts. It's not until 2008 that I noticed the shift, and recently that I found out why. So it happened to you individually. Was it the financial crisis? I think I was always angry and stressed. It was my first job out of college where I realized it was all a lie. And then I wouldn't call it a depression, but an anger phase. Went through a tremendous anger phase, which I'm not sure I'm really over it. And I don't think I ever will be, because the anger was righteous and is still righteous to this day. And yeah, that was, God, I remember several stages of that too. And recently that I found out why. Well, I'm kind of curious why you noticed it, the shift. Is it in your personal life or was it the financial crisis? I'm kind of curious. Hand clogs, $2. It's our time, Cappy. Winners win. Money crabs? Money crabs? Okay. Hope you're doing well down south. Nonstop Dre, $2. When did the decline start, in your opinion? Probably 1965. If you want a date, because that's when they started the Great Society. Now, you could argue maybe it went back to 1913 under, who the hell was it? Woodrow Wilson and the creation of the income tax and the Federal Reserve. You could argue it was the progressive era in the 20s and the 30s in the United States where, free shit. And then that led to the academics and the asshats that said, let's do this Great Society in 1965. But if you want to look at where society started turning to shit, it's where the boomers and the hippies started in 1965. Then went into the late 60s, early 70s, where you had the hippies. Everything went to shit. Everything went to shit. Music went to shit. Fashion went to shit. The economy went to shit. And now, by today's standards, it wasn't shit, but it was slowing down. Everybody got hairy. Feminism came in, the boomers feminism. We're not talking equal right, voting rights. We're just talking, we hate men feminism. That's where it started. No, I'm not changing my mind till you prove it wrong through actions, not, it's not that. It's just the equal treatment of women. There was a little bit of a recovery in the 80s and 90s, and then it kind of went back down. But that's when the decline started. And then, what? No fault divorce was legalized in 70, 71 under Reagan in California. And that obviously torched families. So it wasn't one thing and then it happened. But yeah, when you started replacing families or parents with the state, when the state got involved in families, and when women, frankly, started not liking men, let's say, and blaming them for the problem and took on being female as its own identity and religion, and then it just grew. And now everyone's like, now it's whatever trade, that's your religion. That's when it started. Judd Grover, $2. Being young in the 90s was better. These poor kids. Yeah, try being young in the 80s. I'll see your 90s and I'll raise you the 80s. 80s were better. Oh, man, the 80s. I mean, I wasn't around in the 50s. I don't know. I was around in the 70s. Those sucked. 80s was fun. 80s was fun. Nonstop Dre, $2. When did social mistrust started and the cause of it? Social mistrust? I think when you got financial incentives to do what was not in the best interest of your family or the community. I think that's where it was, where, okay, you can get paid to file a divorce, or you could get paid financially to file a divorce, but um, forget the kids, forget the family. I'm not happy. So I guess that would be paid in a emotional way. Uh, that's when it started. When you got paid to sit on your ass but claim you were on welfare and disadvantaged, or bad luck and got laid off, where you started living off of other, when people started stealing from other people because it was merely legal, that's when the mistrust started. And then I think probably even in the 80s, which I'm a big fan of, but that's probably started where the boomers went from hippies to yuppies and corpos, where everything and anything just to make a buck, including ruining our families, ruining society. It started there. It wasn't that bad. A little Ralph Nader would say otherwise. It started there. And then it metastasized in the horrible cancer we have now, where we're going to outsource jobs from America to non-Americans, although we've been doing that for a while. Anything to make a buck, and shitification, private equities taking over companies. Just that's but it's for the money and no long-term thinking, like, yeah, you're going to ruin it. I'm going to be curious what happens to Microsoft when people are just slowly getting out of this Windows 11 upgrade. We'll see. M. James, 88, 10 generous dollars. We as a society don't have hobbies or group meetups anymore like we did back in the day. Bowling league, game night. Now it's just work and home. Yeah. Now, what, James, if I could promise you a significant % chance that you would get laid or find a girl and have some fun. Not a guarantee, but if you went out regularly, say once every other week, and you went to the bowling league and there'd be cute girls there, would you go bowling? Or there's game night. There was a cute and single, right? Well, okay, they all were single. They all lied and said they had boyfriends, but there was an actual cute single girl there. Would you show up? And ladies, if there was a guy who wasn't an Adderall self-depressed addict who was emo-y and overweight and skinny fat, but like actually had a job or was in shape, would you show up? And then would you also say, oh, I don't have a boyfriend? I mean, still go to the bowling league. I might pick up bowling. I even went downtown to look at a D&D group, and then I saw the people walk in. I'm like, nope. So still go out. Don't sequester yourself at home. Sequester? It's a quarantine. Don't just stay. Get out. Go and do. Stank face. $3 Australian. Escorts better acting like woman than Gen Z woman. I don't know. I know you're, oh, sure, Cappy. I've never had an escort. I know a buddy who had the girlfriend experience. And having suffered through the Access Vegas podcast of, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, where there actual were professional escorts and all that there. I don't think the escort is a guarantee um, that you're going to have good conversation. Matter of fact, after what I experienced, it's probably not. You're just there to have sex. The girlfriend experience from the girl that I met that my buddy was hanging out. I thought they're on a real date. I said, "How'd you meet?" And then he kicked me under the table, and it did. Oh, we're in Vegas. I suppose they treat you better because that's the product. I do know I was watching a documentary where there was a professional retired escort who did the deed as well. And the reason she was like one of the most highly paid ones, but she wasn't particularly pretty. She was pretty, but not exceptionally so. It's because she listened to the men and talked to them. And right now, I do know this. The girlfriend experience is now the most sought after thing in Vegas, in part because the sex is illegal, but it's not really. Men just want a girl to treat them nice. That's in more demand than the sex. So I presume if you're interested in this, well, you're in Australia, so I don't know what. At least here in the United States, well, don't you just go up to Bali or something? Where you're much closer to the Southeast Asia. The girlfriend experiences tend to act better because that's the product. The escorts don't know, God no, but I'm going to imagine they're just a pain in the ass. Again, based on what I saw at I was going to say Escort Vegas, Access Vegas. At the GZ, well, yeah, and I don't know. I don't even know if I've dated a Gen Z gal. I don't think I have. Uh, I can tell you based on all the girls I dated, the vast majority of them, there was a lot left to be desired in terms of general behavior. Most of them just sat there and were boring, pulling teeth to have a conversation with. So I gotta imagine, yeah. I don't know. What's it like dating a Gen Z girl? Go ahead, write in. I'll read that. V340E419, 20 generous Canadian dollars. The 90s were awesome, Cappy. Games and movies. Oh, the video games. Yeah, you're right. Forgot about that. Holy shit. PlayStation 2? Oh my God. Halo and the LAN party. That I don't know how I forgot. That's like probably peak culture right there. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I remember getting so excited to see Independence Day. Oh man. Yeah. Good times. Good times. This timeline sucks now. Laugh out loud. By the way, thank you. Thanks to you, I'm debt free. Cheers. See, we're making progress. Look, at any point, and you can get upset. Go find some pearls. Pause it now. Go to the pearl store. Get some pearls so you can clutch them. Ladies, you can turn this around anytime. You can start being fun, flirtatious, and pretty, and we'll have a culture once again. And we need to. I keep hearing something like, do I gotta get my gun and shoot an intruder? We need better movies. That's why we need better video games. We need to get DEI, woke, leftist, racist, sexist horse shit out of there. But yeah, what now might be the greatest time ever. How about you girls? Like you dress up and you go to a jazz club or something. Then because we're not going to play video games. Like, oh, I heard the girls are wearing dresses over. Like, you got to wear a dress to get in, and you guys got to wear a tie. God, how few people of you know how to tie a tie? Nonstop Dre, $2. Thoughts on Gen Z aging faster than past gens? You know, I saw that in my book, How Not to Become a Millennial. Now that book is 5-6 years old, and you were starting to see some diseases and lack of equal performance of past generations, where Gen X was actually less healthy in some ways than previous generations before them. Obesity being one of the main ones. But pre-diabetes, I think, was one of them. STDs, interestingly enough. But Gen Z, I don't know. I gotta imagine, yeah, you guys don't work out, you don't get the sun. Your life expectancy is gonna go down. It will go down. even without the drinking. Burpshide, 5 Australian. Banging good-looking people is fat phobic. If they're under 30, you're basically a PDF file. Exactly. You make my point, Burpshide. It makes all the right people jealous. It's great being a good-looking guy and having sex with a good-looking gal. You know what's even better? Being a great-looking guy having sex with multiple women. Oh my God, will that piss everybody off? It's fun. It doesn't cost anything. Again, no pregnancy. Vasectomy club, winning. And it pisses off all the right people. Nonstop Dre, $2. Shocked that Boomer Cappy prefers 90s over 70s. Yeah, Dre, what you see in the 70s is the movies, right? I remember the poor and the poverty and the inflation that put today's inflation kind of to shame. Although if you factor in housing, they might have been on par with each other. No, 70s were horrible. 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 That was like peak divorce too, late 70s. Nonstop Dre, $2. Cappy is too short to get over anything. Dre, $2. Being overseas, there's a social trust among people. Yes. Yes. I imagine, especially in East Asia, whether it's Korea or Japan. I imagine Thailand's the same. Maybe not to the same level, but higher than the US. Bun for bun, 5 British pounds. More personal than a financial crash, though it was an indicator, as well as watching Karen Strawn. Oh, yeah, the Honey Badgers, man. That's old school. Man, you're a veteran. And other YouTubers and realizing the lie. Yep. Here, there is hope because now there's no more lie, right? The amount of price discovery, to use an economic term, but the amount of empirical reality discovery, especially on the part of men, as to women's nature and being able to identify shit way quicker as it evolves. Dude, divorce is dropping dramatically on a nominal level. The amount of, you get alimony and life that, no, the money transfer is stopping. You guys are like, let me take you out, my lady. No, it's not happening. You guys are getting better sleep, right? You're not going to go through the depression phase or the anger or rage phase as much as I did because you were lied to. The millennials were lied to, but the Zoomers have the street smarts and they know better now. I think Thinking Ape did a video on the end of Red Pill Rage because Zoomers got the internet. They know. Now, it's sad and depressing, and there's not really anything fun or exciting to look forward to, but you're not confused like the previous two generations. Like, I did everything I was supposed to. Why isn't there a girl touching my peen now? Where's my 6-figure job? This is why people like Kevin Samuels, rest his soul, but Josh Fluke, Economics Ethan, according to Nicole, who is the other guy? Real Life Fake Wizard, but there was another one. Lewis Ross, they're empirical. They're all younger than me, and they're all giving you guys street smarts, the younger generation, so you don't have any delusional expectations. Plus, I think the left overstepped their bound. Like they got caught with their pants down when they tried making Lizzo attractive. When they started trying to make fat women attractive and the plus size mannequins and the ugly women on Victoria's Secrets, that went too far because it completely violated biology. And every guy's like, fuck you. What's wrong with you? They're lazy. See, they want a 9-inch throbbing with 6 figures and 6-pack abs, regardless of how ugly and unfuckable they are. And don't you dare. Dude, they would, and if given the power, they would send you to camps where you were to pleasure women of a more girthy nature. If they could, they probably would. Because nothing pisses off people more than other good-looking people having sex with other good-looking people. Probably the biggest form of revenge. Spambot Fodder, 5 Canadian. The last few meetups I attended were filled with spurgs. I think Meetup. I gotta get that right. Meetup. I remember when Meetup, probably the same thing when it was 2006, 2007. I was in a great running group. And even then, oh God, no dating. No, I mean, there were so few. You're like, come on, shouldn't we all, like, no one's working together here. We're all runners, we're all in great shape. Can I, like, the number of times, yeah, you want to get a beer? No. Just, oh, I can't go home. And that died. Why? Because you weren't. Now you've got rules on Meetup. You can't have, this is not a dating app. This is not, how dare you expect to meet women here? You stay. All right, fine. We're done. Oh, I don't know why no one shows up to the meetups anymore. All right, there you guys go. Thank you for all the kind super chats, especially for our foreigners, who it's probably sunny there now, I guess. That's it. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.